mailbox. You have
Ready.
new.
Hello everyone, I am Dr. Indranil Deshmukh, Joint Organizing Secretary of Ethos. Thank you everyone for joining today's session on medical education in the time of COVID-19 pandemic. By not taking much time, I would like to invite our today's speaker, Dr. Mohanan sir. Dr. Mohanan sir is the Vice Chancellor of Kerala University of Health Sciences, Head Kerala State Nodal Center, International Chair in Bioethics, and WMA Cooperating Center. Dr. Mohanan sir was a professor at the Department of Radio Diagnosis at Thrissur Medical College for a long time. In 2016, he was appointed as the principal of Manjeri Government Medical College. After retirement, he has been working as the head of the Department of the Radio Diagnosis in MES Medical College. Hailing from Kannur, Dr. Mohanan sir completed MD in Radio Diagnosis from Trivandrum Medical College and supervisory training course in medical administration. He has bagged many honors, including the state government's award for best doctor in 2016. He has served as the state president of Government Medical College Teacher Association from 2011 to 2014 and as the president of National Radiological and Imaging Association. I request Dr. Mohanan sir to please start his session. Over to you, sir.
Thank you. Thank you very much for the kind introduction. And nice to see my dear friend Dr. Russell here. Shiv Joshi, thank you, all the delegates, all the participants, all the faculty. Thank you so much. Shall I share my screen? Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So greetings from Kerala University of Health Sciences. As we are in the midst of the COVID-19 pandemic, let us discuss what happened and what is happening to medical education with special context to my own university, Kerala University of Health Sciences. A great philosopher, John Dewey, said, if we teach today's students as we were taught yesterday, we rob them tomorrow. And that means we must be innovative and our teaching must be futuristic. That is very clear. Let us revisit the traditional mode of education which was there in India. It was called Gurukula system. Student lives and learns at the Guru's house, one-to-one learning, learns not only lessons but also get into the daily life, healthy, disciplined cohabitation. In fact, this is decentralized learning. And in the time of COVID, this seems to be very attractive because there is no large crowding. Now, how do we conduct our education system currently? It is institutional centric. Large number of students, larger the number of students, larger the number of teachers, then the institution is supposed to be the best institution. Multiple teachers, lecture theater, but then this is not a COVID appropriate teaching. That is what we realize now. Now, during lockdown, what happened? COVID-19 disrupted all educational activities in colleges. Undergraduate courses were stopped and all students were sent home. Hostels were simply closed. But the postgraduate courses and internship continued because they are doctors and they are COVID warriors. And in the hospitals, the regular patients just disappeared. There were no elective surgeries. Hospitals became simply COVID centers, only COVID and COVID and COVID. And postgraduate students, as I said, they were staying there not as students, but as the COVID warriors. So, but when the pandemic is going on like this, we cannot stop health education continuously. And also, the students must know how to face the pandemic. strict protocols to prevent infection spread has to be done, but teaching has to be continued. And now the new mode of teaching came, distance learning. Of course, the distance learning was always available, but it was not implemented in medical education in a big way. And online virtual classrooms which were available were used in certain areas, but never used in medical education in big way. It became the only way of education. At the same time, we have to maintain the teacher-student connectivity also. So various platforms were available. Moodle, which is an open source, Google Classroom, Zoom, Cisco, WebEx, Blackboard, Canvas, Runway. It's a long list, and every day new platforms are coming up. Some of them are costly, some of them are free, especially Moodle, which is an open source and it is freely available. And university has made a policy to use Moodle as a platform, whereas the liberty was given to an institution. They can use any platform they would like to have. And the newer trends in the learning, like flipped classroom, mastery learning, collaborative learning, project-based learning, hybrid learning. There is a huge number of technologies and techniques came, and this itself is a big topic. Now, what are the advantages of online education? The student stays at home, the faculty stays at home, and therefore it's a perfect COVID-19 protocol, and it is some kind of Gurukula Vidyabhyasam, because the teachers screen and students screen one-to-one education. Even if the ratio is 1:1,000, there is a possibility of one-to-one education. And virtual small group. Most important thing is you can always repeat whatever is taught can be recorded and replayed, and resources can be shared, and it is extremely cost effective because nobody has to travel. There is no hostel expenses. So student at home, teacher at home. But disadvantages, definitely any new technology will have a lot of disadvantages. Availability and accessibility is a big problem. Laptop, telephone, all these things has to be available. Then the question of bandwidth, you're out of range. Psychological, no human contact, that itself is another issue, because you are seeing a laptop or a computer and there is no human contact, there is no human touch. And the student may be switching on the laptop, he may be somewhere else, so you don't know whether he's really attending. The attendance, you take the attendance, but really is it correct? We never know. And of course the financial issue. And another thing is that so many technologies are available now. That means the technology is evolving every minute, and therefore if you stick on one technology, that became obsolete within few days. Now, Kerala University of Health Sciences did a small study on this situation. We have got 314 institutions under us with 1 lakh students and 17,000 faculty. And we found that various colleges reported the 70% to 100% attendance in these online classes. But the real problem, they said, was connectivity. In fact, the students living in various areas, they don't get connected. So it is said that some students climbed up hills or went up on a tree and they could get connected like that. So, and they have to on a laptop, and the data is costly. Even though in India, probably the cheapest data availability in the whole world is India, but still it costs something. Then the students who are attending the online classes, they have eye strain, headache, and some physical problem. They always complain. And the issues related to online teaching, because this is a new mode, and therefore our teachers are not very familiar. So they have to be taught how to use this wonderful technology. And you have to create a separate resource. The resources were available in the textbooks, but then it has to be made online teaching friendly. And such data, such material has to be deposited. You need to have a depository. And sometimes the university itself can have a YouTube channel or even a TV channel, dedicated TV channel. Kerala government is running a TV channel for the school students. And regarding clinical and laboratory teaching during the lockdown, it was completely locked down simply because of the physical contact. Any other person is likely to give me COVID, and therefore you are avoiding contact with anybody else except your family member. And another thing, even if you come to the hospital, there is no clinical material because there are no patients, and it is difficulty in traveling. And all the hospitals became dedicated COVID center. And in the earlier days, nobody received any vaccine also. So going to the library, almost all libraries stopped. You cannot go to the library. But then online resources were made available, textbooks were, soft copies were made available, and digital resources were made available. Now, regarding medical research is a very important component of medical education. But you cannot go to the community because you may get the disease or you are likely to give disease. Hospital-based study could not be done. Many theses could not be done simply because there is no clinical data, there is no patient, and laboratory research were done by postgraduates and PhD scholars. And the clinical study designs has to be modified in order to take care of the safety of the patients. Now prioritization in research has to be done. In fact, research into COVID-19 was prioritized because of the clinical urgency. And we have to study the ongoing pandemic as it develops. And research that were planned before pandemic may have to be reassessed, has to be stopped because of the risk involved to the participants. Now, what is the impact of COVID in the education in total? Undergraduate offline classes were closed for almost 10 months. No practical or clinical training was given for 10 months. But however, theory classes were given in the online mode. No university examinations were conducted during these 10 months, and no extracurricular activities for the students. Students' social well-being could not be taken care because of non-availability of extracurricular activities. And for postgraduate students, of course, technically on paper, the PG programs continued, but they didn't have any clinical material. They could not do any elective procedure. They could not do any surgery, and thesis could not be completed because of lack of material. And what they were doing in the name of postgraduate training in surgery or medicine or gynecology, just COVID duty and COVID duty only. It was happening all over the world. Now we reopened the colleges by 1st of January 2021. Because by that time, most of our students received 2 doses of vaccine. Even then, only RT-PCR negative were permitted in the campus, and we formed a bio bubble. Even after that, we did theory classes online only, because in theory classes, in various classes, we will have 100 students, 200 students, and they could not be allowed to sit because the government restricted to 50. But however, practical and clinical training were started with all COVID protocols. And clinical training, we insisted that we will expose students to COVID negative patients only. So only after RT-PCR negative, the students were exposed to that. And video recording of the clinical examinations was done, and it was used for teaching, and a dedicated simulation lab to train the procedure. Simulation became a big thing during these days. So simulation can be used for teaching, learning, skill training, assessment, and community outreach programs. So simulation is a big thing which we realized during the COVID pandemic. And there are great advances are happening in the simulation technology, 3D simulation, virtual dissection, holographic images, customization possible, and distance online learning is possible. So simulation is something which is going to stay. Now, regarding the examination, in fact, during the pandemic period, many people said you avoid examination. People went to the court also. and they said the students should be passed without examination. But we stood firm because we don't want to create COVID graduates who have not been assessed by any of the examination body. So we conducted the examinations. Theory, of course, internal theory examinations were conducted online even before reopening, but after reopening, theory examinations were conducted physically offline. But there were a lot of students who were COVID positive, so they were allowed to sit in a separate room, and they were allowed to write the examination. And whatever attendance reported by the college, online, physical, all these were accepted. Now, practical examinations started only after reopening, and COVID positive students were not allowed to enter for practical examinations, but they were given a different date after remission of the disease. Now, the biggest problem was there was no examiners were not willing to come, examiners were not willing to travel, and therefore we made it in a way with the permission of the appropriate councils that examiners were present online. But again, clinical material was not available for conducting examination. So clinical situations were simulated. So this is how we circumvent all these problems. Now the current status. As on today, almost all have received a vaccine. The number of cases are slowly coming down in the state, in the country, and therefore we have started teaching activities slowly getting normalized. But still, large gatherings are not permitted. Small group classes only is allowed. Even then, breakthrough infections are happening. Fortunately, they are not very serious. Extracurricular activities are slowly opened up. But the threat of third wave still is there. Now, the impact of the COVID on the medical graduates, their course has been extended. In fact, almost 10 months there was no course, but we made in such a way that since they had undergone theory classes, we made it such a way that theory has been taken and 5 months has been given to intense practical training, and therefore students lost almost 5 to 6 months of their course. The course extension we minimized to 5 to 6 months, and but they did not get sufficient clinical training simply because there are no patients. So many conditions which are in the textbooks were never seen by the patient, and they did not get sufficient skill, the surgical skill or other technical skill. All these things were not sufficient there. Even though we conducted examination and they have passed, even then we don't know, will they be called as COVID graduates who have not been exposed to many of the clinical situations, and therefore after passing out also they should be given opportunity to have more and more clinical experience. Otherwise, this group of students will find it difficult in the future and will find it difficult for clinical care and patient care. Now, what we did at the Kerala University of Health Sciences, we had a committee who will continuously monitor every college and what is happening, and we had a communication dialogue with all stakeholders, one-to-one communication, and our strategies were periodically changed, periodical reassessment. All meetings were conducted, e-meetings. One advantage is that earlier we used to have meetings of the principals, of the faculty, or the dean physically, and only 60-70% of the people attended. But when the meetings became e-meetings, we had almost 90 to 100% attendance, and therefore even after everything gets normalized, we have decided to conduct most of our meetings by online meeting only, e-meeting only, because people will be able to save a lot of time and they can avoid travel. And we conducted 2 convocations in between, and these convocations also conducted online. The Honorable Chancellor, who is the Governor, came online, the Honorable Minister came online, and we did the convocation, and about in the first instance we gave 10,000 graduations degrees, and now then the recent instance we gave degree to 14,000 students. So all these things could be done. And what is the future mode of medical education? Pandemics make us learn new things. Pandemic is a bad thing, but it has got some advantages. We have realized that the best mode of education we should have along with our conventional education is online education. So it is going to stay. So hybrid teaching will be the norm. And University Grants Commission, which oversees all the education in India, has suggested that now onwards 40% of the teaching can be made online, and the physical teaching need be 60%. So that's a huge paradigm shift in the method of teaching. Simulation and virtual reality techniques will be the future. Now, future challenges. Teachers who can perform well in a non-traditional teaching environment, we have to create them, because we are very good in the traditional way of teaching, but now this new technology has to be learned and they must be good. And now the technologies also, every day new technologies are evolving, and so technology should improve so that make the student experience excellent. And now we can offer wide number of courses through distant mode, and student anywhere in the world can attend a course. Any number can attend. You can have a course for 10 students, or you can have a course for 10,000 students. All these things are possible because of the new technology. And of course, the cost and financial concerns we will have to work out. But the most important thing is that we must be prepared for a future pandemic. This is not the last pandemic, and it can happen again and again. And therefore, we should not be taken aback. We should not be surprised. We must be prepared for the future pandemics. Thank you. Stay safe. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, sir. Any questions from audience?
Can I ask a question? Dr. Mary here, sir.
Yes,
Dr. Mohan, Dr. Mary here.
Yeah, please.
Yeah, so I'm just, you said that, teaching can be online, 40% can be online. Now, I'll just share my experience with you.
Yeah, please.
Our current CBME batch has been, much of the teaching has been online. Now, what we have seen is many of the students switch on their computers and then leave it on and go off. So actually, we cannot really monitor how much of teaching has been is taking place, and I feel this should not be the regular norm that online teaching should be online, because I think face to face is much effective than online teaching, and not every student can perform well on with online teaching. So I still feel, and just to tell you, this morning I had we were supposed to have a discussion with the PGs for, they have regular case discussions, but the net went down, and, and there was something wrong in the system. So these are problems that we have to anticipate if we think, that we're going to go online. So I still don't feel online is the best mode. I feel these students have lost out a lot. There's a lot to be learned when there is face-to-face interaction, not only in terms of the subject, but also the way a person teaches, and how much of role modeling takes place during a face-to-face interaction. So this is just my experience that I wanted to tell you, because I feel students are losing out a lot on this online mode of teaching. It's okay for a course, but I wouldn't recommend it. A short course, but I wouldn't recommend it for a regular medical or a dental or any, graduate courses. That is my opinion.
Yeah. What you have been saying is absolutely right. What I've been telling is that this is not instead of the current education, but it is to add on to the current education. And when during the pandemic, during the lockdown, we did not have anything else. So we resorted to that. But now, once the situation improves, what we will do is hybrid classes. For example, what has been said is that, so suppose today you have got a class, a physical class today, what you can do is that you can send a recorded class online so that all the students can listen to that. You can send the material, and then once they come in the classroom, we will go more advanced. We will discuss what has happened. So this is what hybrid classrooms are. So you use both technologies. You use the online technology and at the same time use the physical classroom. So in the online, you give a class and some problems to the students. And when they come back, you discuss how to solve the problem. So this is how you ensure that. So these things are possible. Now the technology is evolving. Technology. So very often the student will switch on and go away somewhere and you don't know. But now we can have interaction. You can have in between discussion between online this. So it is a combination of the new technology and the old technology. That is the best way. It is not instead of the regular teaching. It cannot replace. It cannot replace the regular teaching. But then it can add on. It's a value addition. That is the point.
I totally agree, sir. But our problem is we're teaching in one batch itself. We have 125 students. To interact with 125 students in an online class is very, very difficult. Especially if you...
But physically also to interact with 120 students are difficult. We know that. We know that.
Yeah, no, but we are able to at least have some sort of control when it comes to physical compared to the...
No, see, that's why it is not instant. It is not instant. So today morning, you are going to take some physiology class or biochemistry class. You can give a large amount of the content online earlier. And then we will discuss the nitty-gritty and fine-tuning of this thing so that then they will definitely attend, and then you can ask questions. Also, this is integration. Of course, this, as I said, we have to learn this new technology and we have to master it. And that is why University Grants Commission has come that has accepted this new technology. And
sir, I think what we should be doing also is take a feedback from the students, because we did conduct a webinar with the students and they did say they don't like this mode of teaching. And in fact, I think this Sunday or next Sunday, we'll be having an interaction with students regarding the medical education and online teaching. So I think it's worth getting a feedback how they...
Absolutely.
Because they are the ones who are affected. So I think we should also see how they are managing, because majority of my students actually don't want this online teaching and they want to come to class. So that is my understanding. I'm just...
Yeah, again, actually, there is, we have found that some of the students scored excellent marks after this online, this pandemic, after this lockdown, and then they scored very well because they were attending the classes more sincerely and they were at home and parents were monitoring. But some of the students performed extremely bad. So we had students who got distinctions and we had students we got minimal marks, and so we try to interact with many of them. Some of them, even otherwise very intelligent good students, they got terribly bored with this online and they just switched on and they went to see something else. But at the same time, some of them really attended. They were not disturbed by others. So this is an evolving technology. We don't know. Let us see what is going to happen. Correct.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Dr. Mohan, you were saying that you'll use integrate or hybrid. So when you talk of you say you'll give work via the internet, and then when they come physically, you will. So when you give it, when you do it, how are you going? You're going to give it by virtual, or I was just trying to figure out your method of the virtual. I'm sorry, the hybrid that you were talking about. How is the, so you're going to be using some of the information given and then continue that when you meet from face to face. Is that what you're saying?
Exactly. Because we may have to teach students a large amount of content. So what we will do is that some of these things we are already pre-recorded talks will be given to the students, and then the content also, notes also, all these things will be given online, and we will give them some I think questions for all these things, and we'll ask them to work out with this and come back. And when they come back, we will be discussing such issues. We will be asking such students. And in the Moodle platform, in fact, we can conduct online examinations. We can conduct multiple choice examinations also. We will give them a class and they can answer this thing. And all these things can be known by us, whether the student was the student answered the questions, how many percentage was the. So then we will know that our teaching was effective or not. So a student who does not attend the online classing, he will find it difficult in the offline class. He will not have any connect this thing. And then another greatest advantage is that whatever you are teaching, especially in the physical classroom, you teach, you give note and you go away. And suppose the student did not attend or student slept in the classroom, he cannot listen to that class. But these online classes, we will they can give a facility to be recorded. Especially the Moodle classes can be heard repeated number of times. In fact, now there are companies in India who are selling these classes, and many students, just believe me, many students are not attending our regular physical classes, but this they are listening what is given by companies like Marrow, and they just listen, and they just listen to that classroom. They listen it several times, and then they appear the examination. So students have already accepted these things. So we have to move beyond that. One of the biggest software teaching company in Baiju is just doing this thing only. These are all online. So new technology is revolutionizing, and we have to go along with that. We have to go along with that. So because the youngsters will be able to do it much better, because we, the old kind of teachers, we will also run along with this new technology.
Dr. Mohanan, you're saying the youngsters will use the technology, but sometimes it is, see, I'll tell you our experience. Just 2 days ago, we gave an online exam on Google platform for 15 minutes. The session was open, and they had 20 questions. So what the students did, see, this is what the problem is, and we are not aware of it. The students, one student created a dummy name, answered all the questions, and then they realize they can, after answering, they know which one is wrong and right. So what happened is they created that, found out all the answers, and then passed it on to their classmates in the WhatsApp group. And subsequently, everybody got 10 out of 10. So this is what is happening. Yeah. So whatever we do.
See, you are living in an era where technology is being used. Even in the good old conventional examination, people come with a small bit of papers. That was the old days when we were studying. But now they come with a small Bluetooth earphone in the ear. And then they will transmit the questions and answers will come. In fact, in one of our examinations, I had to use ENT surgeons to find out the Bluetooth kept in the ear of the students. So they will find out new technologies, and we'll have to go advance. And now the IIMs conducted recently, they said they conducted the course examination totally virtually, and there are technologies available. You sit in front of a computer, and your eye movement will be checked. Anybody around you will be checked. Your hand movement will be checked. You cannot go to any other area, and you have to write the examination. So these technologies are there, but students are more smarter, so they will do that. It's a race, but then the point is just because of that, you cannot forget the technology. Technology is
No,
going
but
to
then
stay.
we cannot, it's an unfair advantage to students who sincerely attempted the question. You can make out they got 6 out of 10, 5 out of 10. And
Yeah. So we no no. So we will have to have because earlier, many years ago, when we were conducting examinations with question papers sent to all the institutions, some of the very smart institutions, they used to take out the question papers from the cover and leak it to the students, and they used to get very good marks. So when the Kerala University Health started, we started sending the question paper online. So the student sits in the examination hall half an hour before the examination, and then the university's computer will decide the question paper, and it will send the question paper to the examination center, and they print out and distribute the question paper. So it was totally made leak proof. And suddenly, many colleges which were getting almost 80, 100% results started getting 5%, 10% results. So there will be technology to overcome these kind of fallacies. So now they may find something else to overcome what we are doing.
Yeah,
This is a reality.
yeah. Thank you, Dr. Mohan. I'm just sharing
Thank
my
you,
experience
thank
and the
you.
difficulties we are having.
Yeah. What you have done is a reality, But the point is we have to circumvent that. That is the most important.
Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Mohan. Thank you, Mary.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, sir. We are really grateful for your speech and for your thoughts and experiences which you shared with us. This topic is really very important for medical students. And thank you so much, sir, for giving your valuable time to us.
Thank you. It was a pleasure to be with you all. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
We will start our next session in 2 minutes once Dr. Geeta Lakshmi ma'am joins the session.
Indranil, I think it's at 10. Session is at 10. So ma'am will join in, I think 5 or 10 minutes.
Okay,
Then
sir.
we'll wait. Yeah.
Shiv, that Rajiv Tandon spoke to me in the morning.
Yes, sir.
And he said that, can you send him that validity? He wants to attend that.
Okay, sir. I'll do that.
Okay.
Dr. Shiv, we'll have our next session at 10 o'clock.
Yes,
Yes,
Piyush,
at 10 o'clock.
at 10. We can stop recording if you want till then.